calprotectin is normal, your biologic is working, and your GI is happy. So why does nobody in that room seem to care that you're still in pain every single day? Hi, I'm Kate, and today we're talking about the difference between treating your inflammation and treating your pain, because those are not the same thing. If your markers look perfect on paper, but you're still struggling to get through a normal day, well then this video is for you. So after my husband's third surgery, he had a clean scope. His markers looked great, but he was still in daily pain and nobody could name it or even seem to ask about it. The moment I realized that GI appointments were tracking disease activity, not pain experience, was after quite a few appointments where he would say, "I'm in pain," and they said, "Well, we don't understand why. It'll be okay, it'll go away." So with my son's remission, we did not make that same mistake. If he was still in pain, we made sure we brought it up and made it part of the conversation. And here's the clinical reality. It doesn't get said clearly enough. Inflammation and pain are related, but they are not the same signal, and they do not always move together. Research on Crohn's patients in endoscopic remission, it shows that somewhere between 20 and 30% still report significant chronic pain that persists, not because the disease is active, but because the nervous system, the gut microenvironment, and the pain processing pathways, well, they have their own story to tell. Controlling inflammation is your gastroenterologist's first and probably most important job, and I want to be clear, your biologic matters, your GI matters, but pain management is a second clinical responsibility and it deserves its own conversation. So there's some pretty easily to spot signs that pain is not being taken seriously in your GI appointment. The first one is to always think about the fact that your GI never gives it its own question. They review your bloods, your scopes, and medication tolerance, but they never ask you to rate or describe your pain independently. Pain is not being assessed as its own variable. Have you ever had that happen where your GI has never discussed pain as a separate issue? All they seem to care about are your markers. So if the conversation ends with, "Well, your markers are fine," which is what happened with my husband, you'll know that your GI is not thinking about it as a possible situation that they need to be working towards. So when normal calprotectin or a clean scope is used as evidence that pain should be resolved, well, that's conflating two different clinical questions. And it actually leaves serious questions for how your nervous system is coping. Visceral hypersensitivity and post-surgical nerve changes are not being addressed. My husband being told that his pain didn't make sense given his results, well, that phrase is devastating to a patient. Another sign is that they're not recording a pain scale. They're not asking you to rate your pain and writing it down. So if nobody in your care team has ever asked you to track pain separately from stool frequency or fatigue, well, then there's no data for you to advocate with. I would recommend now adding it to your tracking. So you're tracking your stool frequency, your fatigue, your sleep, and also your pain. Because no data means no treatment plan. Keep it simple, just record it daily. No referral conversation has happened. That's another sign. So persistent pain in remission often needs a multidisciplinary conversation, a pain specialist, a pelvic floor physio, a psychogastroenterologist, and if that referral has never been raised, the team may be treating pain as a waiting problem rather than an active one. So the first time I suggested pelvic floor physio to a Crohn patient, the look of "nobody has ever said that to me," well, it was quite interesting. So another sign is that they refer your pain as being reframed as, "Oh, you've just got anxiety." Psychological support is genuinely useful in chronic pain, but have you tried managing your stress is the only response to reported pain? Well, that's not a pain management plan. And patients need language to tell the difference. So I need you to understand that you need to separate. This is a referral to psychology as part of a plan from your pain is being dismissed. What changed for my husband when pain finally got its own clinical space? Well, it wasn't a cure, but being believed and having a plan certainly helped. So I want you to walk away from this video today with these things that you notice in your appointments, and if they're not being addressed, then you need to bring them up. So what I'd like you to do also is to create a checklist of those 5 things that need to be made sure that you're discussing them in every appointment. And they're not to be done as a challenge to your doctor, but to make sure pain gets its own space on the agenda. So if this helped you feel less alone in the waiting room, share it with someone who needs it. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a beautiful day.